Welcome back to Light the Fuse, but this week we are taking it into Wick territory. This is Light the Wick, David Leitch, Part 2. This is Drew Taylor and Charles Hood on the cans.
On the can, well, not in the bathroom though.
Not in the bathroom. Usually cans are like oversized headphones, but we both have earbuds in. So yeah, trying to have some fun here, Charles. But.
Sorry, I just, I always try to ruin it whenever I can.
Mission accomplished. We are back for part 2 of David Leitch. Hopefully you listened to part 1. If you haven't done that, do that first. Not that there's really any continuity, but it's just a great interview, so I think you should check that out. And yeah, what else do we have to set up here, Charles?
Not much other than it's just a warning. Again, there's some wind because David was outside while we were speaking to him. And also this time, I think there might be some airplanes as well. So just, sorry about the sound, but I think it actually still works pretty well. Our editor and mixer, Luke Burson, does an amazing job, and he cleaned it up so that I think it's pretty good.
Great.
And also, Nobody is now on home video. Just want to plug that again to tell everybody to see that. Bob Odenkirk is in kind of a John Wick-ish role, and Christopher Lloyd plays his dad and is my favorite part of the movie. It's a fun one. You should definitely check it out. And I don't really have much else to prep us for this.
Yeah, you'll get to hear, I think, in this section just how much David had to do with Nobody, which was very interesting to me. Very hands-on, and it was a lot of fun. And yeah, I'm just going to give my shout-outs real quick. To Jeremy Dillon and his podcast, My Favorite Album, where each week he interviews a different musician, songwriter, actor, or filmmaker about the music they love and how it's influenced them in their work. And Charles and I are going to be on it soon. We have needled Jeremy into letting us come on. And the episode is also brought to you by John B. And if you yourself would like to sponsor Light the Fuse, go onto our Patreon, patreon.com/LightTheFuse. Sign up for the highest tier subscription and you can become a sponsor too. And if you don't want to do that and still want us to give you a shout out, just reach out and we'll work something out because we need those greenbacks. You know what I mean, Charles?
Yeah, there's multiple tiers you can sign up at too. So there's the bonus content and there's other levels where you can join us for our monthly Skype chat and stuff. So it's all worth it. You should definitely do it.
Check it out, and we'll be back at the end of the episode. Here is Kevin Blumenfeld's John Wicky music. Well, Elizabeth also told us that you picked all the music for Atomic Blonde. So
yeah.
Do you have is that a big part of your process? Have you started an Atomic Blonde 2 playlist on your Spotify?
I haven't started an Atomic Blonde playlist, but I do playlists for everything. So we had a playlist for Deadpool 2. I had a Hobbs and Shaw playlist. I had a Bullet Train playlist, and I'm still working on the Bullet Train playlist I'm in editorial right now. I'm sort of like I'm 5 weeks into my director's cut. So,
but do those songs make it into the movie, or is it more like inspiration, or like
both? But no, I would say, the lists they grow over the last sort of movies. They keep getting bigger and bigger. The Atomic Blonde playlist, I would say, like 80% of the playlist made it into the movie.
Okay,
so much so that I wrote when I did my draft. My pass of the draft with Kurt Johnstead, I put all the needle drops in the draft. Like, this is where we're going to be doing it. And I had it all planned out. Deadpool, there was a lot of those songs in the draft that I had really collaborated close with Ryan on that. And we curated stuff. And I had a bunch of ideas and I had put them in. And then obviously we created that song with Celine for Deadpool 2. Yeah, and Hobbs and Shaw, I had a bunch of ideas. Like the opening song was in my plan from the beginning. Yeah, there's a lot. And music's huge for me.
Yeah,
for huge.
There's a big music moment in Nobody, which we probably don't want to give away. But was that song your choice during the car chase?
It was on a list Ilya and I were going back and forth on. Yes.
Okay.
Because after Ilya turned in his director's cut, there was a lot of discussion about music with him and I. And what was great about Ilya is he's a collaborator like I am, and we had him, Kelly, myself, and the other producers were like, music can be more fun. It can open up the door to the audience to have a little bit more, to have a license for the violence, and because you're in a pop movie.
Right.
Yeah. And so the songs started to come in, and I was helping curate them. I can't not. That was one of my producerial jobs. I love it.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm shocked Charles hasn't asked you this yet, but do you have any kind of preference when it comes to lenses when you're shooting these things? There are some moments, and Nobody in particular, which I'm just thinking about because I've watched it most recently, that are just, they're so fucking wide that the background is like totally warped. And I was just like loving every second of it. But do you have sort of a philosophical approach to lenses and what you're going to use for some of these fight scenes?
I do. I love I do like wide angle close. I do like my wide angles. I primes. Like, I'm not a long lens guy. You'll very rarely see me over 100 mil. That being said, in this new movie, I'm playing a lot more with lenses because there's a lot of narratives going on, and we're filming the different narratives in different styles.
Okay.
Is that for Bullet Train, you're saying?
For Bullet Train. But in, in John Wick and like Atomic Blonde and Deadpool, all that stuff is like, we're on a, 35 to 80 is like the longest. And I love being the close-up, being like on a 32, 35. Wide angle close.
You don't mind a little warping?
No, sometimes you're going to go even wider and you're on a 20 something and it's just seeing the world. I don't mind it. No, I don't think it doesn't bother me.
Would you do a flat movie?
Yeah, if it felt right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you like the anamorphic is like something that you really...
Yeah, I do like it. I mean, I'm a sucker for the, again, like the big frames and the sort of landscapes and the architecture shots. And, you see a lot of it in Atomic Blonde. I mean, how we were selling that world architecturally, and with that sort of like that type of cinematography. Yeah. I mean, it's just my graphic sensibility. I like it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So do we.
But again, like there's a lot of ways to tell stories. And
right.
Paul Greengrass does it a very different way.
Yeah.
And it's compelling. So
I wanted to ask you, you were Brad Pitt's stunt double, is that right? For a few movies?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to ask what that was like, especially working with, you were in the Steven Soderbergh movie Ocean's 11, and also in Fight Club, right? The David Fincher movie. So I wanted to know what it was like working with those guys, because we're big fans of both of those guys.
I didn't really do much on Oceans. I think it was like one day. So that was like there. I don't even remember what I did. But it was not it was like I might have even been brought there for like safety of some kind. But in Fight Club, that was one of my bigger first jobs as a stunt performer. My big feature, I've been working a lot in television as a stunt performer, and I got the opportunity to, come in, and they needed a stunt double for Brad, and there was going to be a lot of fights, and there was going to be a lot of training. And so I was brought in, and I ended up getting the gig. And again, Fight Club, we were there for a good part of the movie, but the actors were so trained up and Brad was so athletic. I really was like, here's what you're going to do. And then he would just do it. But what I did gain out of that was like being on set and working and watching Fincher work, and like, watching the detail that he goes into, watching, how he composes shots, watching sort of his craft of filmmaking was pretty amazing. And like, as a stunt performer, you do have this great access because you're the stunt guys and you're sort of allowed to be around all of that stuff. And that sort of helped me as a filmmaker in a lot of ways, like working close with the Wachowskis or working, on Fincher movies or with these big directors and you're having access to them, and ask questions, and where maybe other crew members wouldn't feel comfortable, you somehow feel comfortable because you're stunt double,
Right.
And you're on camera. I mean, you're a performer, so you're really there seeing it all happen.
Right.
He's one of my favorite filmmakers, and I love his work. And Fight Club's such an incredible movie. So that was another thing that just got me really jazzed about making movies, was being on that set.
You say you do that with every. I mean, you've worked with so many amazing filmmakers, arguably the top filmmakers of this generation. Were you always sort of taking things from people, and do you have any examples of sort of things that you might have seen the Wachowskis or Fincher do that you now have applied in your directorial career?
Oh yeah, I mean, I have to think more of like real specific anecdotes, but 100%. I mean, I think that the people that I worked with the most would be the Wachowskis, and sort of like their graphic sensibilities, their attention to detail, their preparation, their color, their aesthetic. I can't say enough about them. I love them. Zack Snyder, we did 300, and like the way Zack runs his crew. His imagery is the way he runs his crew. It's like the best experience. People who work on a Zack Snyder movie don't ever want to work with any other director again. He ruins it for everybody because he knows everything, but he's also just gracious and kind and cool and funny and collaborative. And yet when the images come out, they're all beautiful, So working with him was great. And then Fincher, again, like the filmmaking prowess and his just knowledge of everything in every department, and his preparation, again, like it's pretty stunning when, and I think I tried to we took that into the first Wick. I mean, we shot listed the entire movie before we'd started, and we'd stunt vised all the fights, and we were really prepared. It wasn't going to be because of lack of preparation that we weren't going to succeed. Yeah.
Right.
But you have to allow some spontaneity on set too, right? I mean, what is your approach?
I think that's part of I think one of our skill sets, and I think that both Chad and I, because we did come from second unit, and sometimes second unit has half the resources, and you still got to get the bigger shot, and sometimes you have to make it up because something's gone wrong, and there's only a half day of shooting left, and they still need a piece of action, and so you do have to, think on your feet. And then as choreographers, we're always choreographing till the end. Like we might have stunt vised a fight, but I remember even the fight scene in the kitchen with John Wick. I mean, I remember Chad changing the choreography, 5 minutes before we shot.
Right.
And I mean, that's not uncommon for us to do that, but everything else is like a plan. Yeah.
Is the key to just have people that are so top level that they can pivot on in that moment and know the previs or the stunt viz well that they can. Okay.
Yeah, generally the fight team that we have around the actors, the stunt guys are so well versed in choreography that you could change the entire fight 25 moves 5 minutes before, and that wouldn't faze them. It's just about the actor's ability and comfort. Mm-hmm. But the fact that you had Keanu, who had been trained like a stunt performer, not only on the Matrix films, but then again, hopefully in another level on the John Wick films, that he can change like that too.
Wow.
So it's like, let's change this,
Right.
So, yeah.
We've talked about a few times on the show, maybe more than we should, about how we're living in a golden age of dog cinema, and that it's possible that John Wick kicked that off. So I'm curious, do you, I know sounds like Chad has, from when we talked to him, he has a love of dogs. Do you have a love of dogs as well, or did you just kind of go along for the ride with this crazy dog franchise?
We're going to have a dog loving competition. Like Chad's not even close to me.
Whoa.
First of all, the dog choice was mine on John Wick.
What do you mean by the dog choice?
Well, I said we need a pit. Come on, like a pit rescue at the end of the movie, right?
Yeah.
We're still waiting for John Wick's pit to get into action, get into it,
No, I have had dogs my whole life, and we have 3 dogs. We have 2 pit rescues, and actually now 3 pit rescues. We just had a new puppy. She's 15 weeks old. She would be out here yelping right now if I didn't have her downstairs. But no, I'm a dog lover.
Wow.
Chad's a convert from John Wick.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
His dogs are from China, I think, right?
Yeah. Yep. I think, yes, they were rescues from China. Yep.
Yeah.
And that was not in the original script, right? That was something that came along in the development for John Wick. The dog, or was the dog always there in the original script? The dog was part of the revenge story.
I think there was. I don't know if it. I'm pretty certain it was. I don't know if the dog lived or died. I know it was specific for us that we wanted to make sure that he had the real impetus to go forward. And like, I do remember many conversations of like, you can't kill the dog, you can't kill the dog, you can't kill the dog. And we're like, we're not killing the dog, guys. It's a movie. But we do want to pull at the heartstrings, and we do need to be provocative. And, it's bad luck on a movie, and no one survives that. And like, you can't do it. And we're like, yeah, you have to. Like, he's going to be, we need the justification and motivation, more of the justification to go on this crazy journey.
Oh yeah. It gives the first movie that great narrative drive of like, you are just, your blood is boiling the whole movie and you want him to murder as many humans as possible.
Exactly. Now that wouldn't work that wouldn't have worked as well if the dog had not passed.
Right.
So, that's true. It's so true. I can't remember. I know he had a dog in the script. I'm not sure. Pretty certain.
Well, was there anything that you obviously couldn't do on the first John Wick because it was a modest production, but now you're playing with the big boys. Have you taken any ideas that you wanted to do for the first John Wick, couldn't actualize and put them in another movie?
I think Chad's done so many at least for the Wick world. Like,
right.
I give him so many props for that 3 and like the crazy set piece of 3, the opening chase of that movie.
Has he told you what he's cooking up right now?
No, I know he's out scouting, and I think they're in Berlin, right? They're in Berlin and they're in soft prep, and I know a lot of the fight team is out there. I'm sure it's crazy. So it's knowing him. I know. And him and his analog stunts they're awesome, and that's what the audience wants to see in the Wick movies.
Is there a little bit of competition? Like, hey, I threw Charlize down a flight of stairs today. What are you gonna do? Is there anything like that?
No, honestly, there really isn't. I think it's more like, how do we anything that he does in the Wick universe? I mean, I'm excited for, because it's something that I was partly helped create. So I just want him to be as big and bold and as he can be with that. And I think in terms of my movies, he's always really supportive with the big ideas. And I think that sometimes because there's more visual effects, sometimes the analog stunts go to the wayside. But there's so much, anyone who knows modern movie making, there's so much stunt work that's going into those big visual effects sequences that it's a totally different endeavor. That's all.
Right.
So it's like the Matrix movies. Like, there's so much visual effects that's going on, but behind that there's like a team of stunt people and wire work and R&D and just, it's going on that still makes it a massive stunt movie.
Right. Chad told us that obviously you're credited on the Captain America Civil War, the epic airport fight with all the superheroes.
Yeah.
And Chad clarified for us that it was only a section of the fight that you did, but we never found out what section it was. I'm curious if you remember which parts of the fight that you did.
We each did parts, and I was there.
Oh, so you were doing separate from him.
Yeah, we tag teamed on that. Well, no, that's not true. We did the stairwell fight, I think, together. There was a fight inside the stairwell, and we were both there at that time. And then I went back and did some at the airport, and then he came in and did some more at the airport. So I just remember a lot of people on ratchets and I mean, I know there was some Spidey stuff, and yeah, it's quite a bit. It's all
the
blurs
hottest Atlanta
blurs
outdoor
together.
set. Yeah.
Well, it is. You guys have probably been there. Like, it's just a bunch of sea containers with blue wall, and it's on, on a big cement slab. And you're like, okay, I see my fight team dressed as different characters. Let's do some fights.
Right.
Were the stars not there? Was it done with stunt guys instead and stunt women?
There's a lot of that on the big set pieces of those movies in particular, because everybody's in masks,
Right.
So you're able to use a lot more stunt performers. And because I think it's ILM that does most of those movies, but they really do work the face replacement really well. That being said, it's not, some of those actors can do it. It's really, the schedules on those movies are massive, and they're time crunched. So you need to shoot a bunch of second unit material that you may have to face replace some actors here and there.
Yeah, I don't know how you could manage all those actors' schedules and get them all there at the same time.
Correct. That's it.
We're both big Adam McKay fans, so I'm curious, what was the work you did for Anchorman 2?
Oh, well, it's one of my favorite movie experiences. It was the fight scene with all the cable news networks. Yeah.
That's what I figured. All right.
Yeah.
So what
Talk about scheduling.
Well, it was great. We had we did sort of block shoot people. We had the Sacha Baron Cohen day. You had the Kanye West day. There was a Will Smith day. There was a Liam Neeson day. And you could kind of see when you see the movie edited together, they're all in their little clumps.
Yeah.
And
there's one shot though where they're all kind of together. Was that done with face replacement or?
Well, we're locking off cameras.
Well, there's a shot that like pulls back as they're all colliding with each other.
Yeah, I think we didn't have everybody there that day, so there was the actors that were there that day. We tried to shoot that on the day we had the most people that were celebrities. Yeah, we're pulling back and they're all colliding. Yeah. They're charging each other like Braveheart. Yeah. So, I'm a huge fan of Adams, and working with those guys was a joy. And I can't remember how I'd met Adam. He called me to choreograph it, but we had been talking about something else. And then it was like, oh, hey, would you come out and shoot this thing with me? And I can't remember what we met him on, but I ran. I'm like, yes. I will be there. I can't wait. So fun.
Was John C. Reilly there on set shooting his
ghost?
Was he he was the ghost of somebody?
Yeah. Civil War ghost. I can't remember. He was great. He was there. Genius. There's so many comedic geniuses on set. Jim Carrey. So there was Jim Carrey, Sacha Baron Cohen. Yeah, you had John C. Reilly. You obviously had Will. Adam, Paul, the whole crew.
Steve Carell, yeah.
Yeah. Steve Carell walking around with his gun.
Yeah.
Oh, it was great. Such a great, one of my favorite movie making experiences.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I have a really random one digging very deep into your past. And there might be nothing to this question, but you were on the movie that Christopher Guest directed. It was, I think it was Chris Farley's last movie, Almost Famous. Do you have any memories of, did you see Chris Farley? What was he like? Because he ended up, speaking of comedic geniuses.
Yeah. And it was a weird, it was like a Lewis and Clark movie, right? Have you ever seen it? Oh.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters when I was a kid, but I haven't seen it in years. But I was a huge Chris Farley fan. So
yeah, he was doing some physical comedy, and there was a fight scene in the woods where he was fighting a bunch of guys, and it was one of my first stunt movies where I got to take a fall. But I remember him being really agile and he was really athletic for a guy who was that big. That's all I really remember. It was a couple days of shooting in sort of not Northern California, but we were up in Big Bear in the woods. And, some sort of fight scene with pilgrims or something. I can't remember. I can't remember. I've done a lot of fight scenes.
Yeah, he was very graceful in his insane, with that body somehow. It was very interesting.
Pretty amazing.
And then also you did a couple things with Trey Parker and Matt Stone. Do you remember working with them?
I do. And that was early on too. It was roughly around the same time. I did the movie Orgasmo, which I got to double Trey Parker on, and that was one of their first movies. And it's kind of the predecessor. If you look at the movie, I recommend seeing it because it's pretty funny. It's a little raw, a little raw. But it was a predecessor to Book of Mormon, really. I mean, he's a Mormon, and he's like knocking on doors, and then he gets hooked up in the porn industry, but he doesn't want to have sex, so they need to find a stunt guy to do the thing. But plays a superhero in the porns, and then and it's not real porn; it's a comedy about porn people. So I was doubling Trey in the purple bondage suit, where he had the Orgasmo Raider, and he did the fight scenes or whatever.
Right.
I did the fight scenes. And then I did this other crazy movie with them, Basketball, where I doubled him in that, which is we didn't do that much, but there was a fight scene on a tiki board where they're fighting with tiki torches. And so we choreographed that. And it's usually a fight scene and some choreography of some kind, wacky choreography. So.
What was it like working? Did you have a lot of interactions with Trey? Because he's sort of notoriously not really liking to do live action, dealing with movie stars and stuff. So that's why he's, they do South Park and they work with puppets and stuff instead.
No, that experience was really early on in my career, but I was also really, he was super gracious and really, really cool. And they were incredibly smart and funny then. And that was before even South Park. I think they had just released that viral videotape with Jesus versus Santa. And that was sort of
crazy to think that a videotape could go viral, but that's what happened. That's how they got South Park.
Yeah, it was like, that was old Hollywood, viral videotapes or whatever. You got a copy of this Jesus versus Santa Claus that got passed around. So crazy. I'm so old. Stop it. But that was a great experience. And it's, when I look back at all the great artists that I've worked with, it's pretty crazy. Been a great career.
Yeah, you did Tron Legacy, and we have to ask because they were on set for that day. Did you get to meet Daft Punk?
I did not meet them. I saw them. They were up in the DJ booth. Yeah. I didn't
okay. You didn't see their faces though.
No, I just saw that. They could have been anybody.
Well, and we've talked about your past a little bit. What can you tease about Bullet Train, and what was it like going from working so closely with Brad in this other capacity to then directing him in this, what I'm assuming is a very crazy movie?
It is a very crazy movie, and I'm really jazzed about it. It was a great experience. It was a little surreal. I guess when you work with someone, I did 5 movies with Brad, or 4 runs a show. And, you're working close with an actor, and you're guiding them through the action and showing them what you'd want to do, and then collaborating with them of like, how do you want the character to do it? This could be something, that could be something. So it's not dissimilar, I guess, than when you're directing somebody, but when Brad's, skill level is way up here as an actor, it was really great to have him trust me as a director. And we found our groove in that collaboration, and it was weird at first, but then we just sort of fell back into our old vibe. So weird in a good way. I mean, because I'm like, oh, now I'm directing the guy. It's great. So I'm looking forward to it, and maybe we'll get to do it again. Who knows? It'd be awesome. He was great.
Well, as objectively as you can, we want to ask you this question that we've asked everybody on this show, which is that, can you rank your favorite John Wick movie? Maybe from least to favorite, least favorite to favorite, maybe, or whatever, and try to be dispassionate. I want you to really just think about your enjoyment of watching these movies and where they rank for you.
Yeah, 1 is the king. One is the king. 3, 2.
Okay.
Yeah, that's me.
That's good. Yeah.
What'd Chad say?
What did Chad? I think Chad refused and told us to leave, or he was going to beat us up. No, he. I don't remember what his rankings were. But
I don't know if Chad gave us rankings. We might have forgotten to ask, or maybe he did. Maybe he might have pleaded the fifth.
He was probably telling us a very, very long and engaging story, and we lost track of time.
I feel like a lot of people who've worked on all three have said, whatever is the latest one is the one that, has
they like the most.
Yeah, just sort of captured their heart the most, just because it's the most recent.
Yeah, for me, obviously, it's the one I worked on the most. So, but I also do like that the character was born there, and the world was born there, and I feel like the emotional hook was laid there. And, the other movies have still been relying on those emotional fumes in a good way and building on that. But it's like, without that first one, the other two don't exist. So how can you not, give it props?
Do you ever have an idea for a sequel and you just have to call Chad and say, he's got to fight a pterodactyl or whatever?
No, we've talked about it. Like what 5, what 6, what 10 is going to look like. So we'll see.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you so much. We've taken up way too much of your time, but this was a huge thrill for us. And hopefully we'll talk again when Bullet Train comes out.
Yeah, I would love that. I would love that.
Thank you so much.
No, thanks, guys.
And we're back. I loved talking to him. He was just wonderful.
Yes, he was a delight. And I love hearing the story about dogs and how he's like the real dog guy. He was kind of almost throwing some shade at Chad there, being like, I'm the real dog guy. And Chad just started to get into the...
Yeah, I think he was fostering or had just adopted a pit bull that was somewhere. We never saw any dogs. So actually, we're all just basing this on what he's telling us because we never saw any dogs during the Zoom. But apparently, there were a couple of pit bulls running around his house. So that must be hard for him going off to shoot movies overseas and stuff, being away from the dogs.
Yeah. Also, hard for him to not be a part of this franchise that's so dog centric.
I know. Do you think there's going to be a dog in Bullet Train?
Let's hope. It was cool to hear him talk about being Brad Pitt's stuntman and then now directing him in Bullet Train. That's so cool.
So he was his Cliff Booth.
That's right.
He was Brad Pitt's Cliff Booth.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, there were a lot of great stories in this section.
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing to hear him talk about David Fincher's level of preparation and to hear him talk about what he learned from the Wachowskis. I feel like there's been a recent reappraisal for Speed Racer. At least on Twitter, I've seen that a lot lately. Like, people have really come around to it and understand what the intent of that movie was. And myself included, I was kind of like, I didn't know what to think of that movie when I saw it. And I still don't love it, but I respect it. I get it. Like, it's a pretty intense watch.
Yeah. They were really trying something different. And God love them for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful looking.
Yeah, they're never giving 20% or something to their movies. Always full bore. And I can't wait. I'm sure they're going to reach out to him about The Matrix, get feedback or something on it, because we've got the new one coming up this Christmas. Yeah,
I also loved hearing him talk about Anchorman 2, because I know we are both big fans of Will Ferrell and the Anchorman movies, and all those big actors coming together for the news brawl, and John C. Reilly is the ghost of Stonewall Jackson.
Right. It's also very funny that they've used that park in Atlanta in several movies as a New York park,
right?
Too, which is very funny. The most New York looking park in Atlanta, I guess. But yeah,
and of course I love hearing about Trey Parker too, because he's one of my South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, and Team America are two of my favorite movies, and so I loved hearing about Trey. It's cool to hear his ranking of the John Wick movies. Have we ever really talked about our rankings?
I don't think so.
Well,
I think we have the same ones.
His are the same as mine, so I think he said 1, 3, 2, right?
Yeah, that's probably mine too.
Yeah. So that was cool to hear. I mean, it's just awesome to have David on the show.
Yeah, hopefully he'll come back for something else. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm not sure what we're doing in the coming weeks quite yet, But I know that we do have an interview that we did with Greg Powell, who is the stunt coordinator for the first Mission Impossible, and that was awesome. And we've got some other things we're working on, and so Greg will be coming up either next week or soon after, and then we've got other things we were hopefully gonna get going as well. And I'm excited for what we've got coming up as we build closer and closer to episode 200 and the release of Mission Impossible 7.
Will it ever come, Charles? I hope so. Cannot wait. Give us a trailer at least, something. Yeah. Oh Lord.
Who knows? Maybe right now, as of now, the recording of this, John Wick 4 and Mission Impossible 7 are supposed to come out on the same day.
Yeah, that is wild.
So that's going to be a real tough time for us if that happens.
Well, it'll be an embarrassment of riches for the listener, and that's really the most important thing. I mean, what's interesting too is that John Wick just started shooting, and Mission Impossible has been shooting since last September. Yeah. And they're coming out on the same day. Absolutely insane. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's it for this episode. Charles, you got any shout outs you need to give?
I do. I want to give a special thank you to Jacob from Holland. And I also want to credit our editor and mixer, Luke Burson, and our music composer, Kevin Blumenfeld, and our intern, Parth Marate. And I think that's about it for me. Of course, sign up for our Patreon, patreon.com/LightTheFuse. We've talked about it so much, but please support the show. It helps us. And if you can't put any money into it, just write us a review or tell your friends about us, tweet about us, Instagram about us, whatever, spread the word. And you can also buy merchandise from our TeePublic store, which is linked from our website, lightthefusepodcast.com. If you go to the merch section, you'll find it there. You can also go to the episode guide on our website, and you can see all the show notes for all of our past episodes. It's really an amazing resource. You should check it out. There's so much cool stuff to see. And I think that's about it for us.
Yeah, I think so. Well said, Charles.
All right. Well, we'll see you next week.
Yep.
Thanks again for listening, everyone. And before we go, another mission, should you choose to accept it, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And remember that you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at LightTheFusePod, and email us questions or comments at lightthefusepodcast@gmail.com. The doors to any service or provider in connection with the Continental are now closed.